Now, 3B, 1B, or Leonard from Exponent of a Logarithm, or Leonard from Stanford teaching field theory, zenith top, zenith to the bottom of the elevator, because those are it. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, it's not the ground. You're actually in the rotation of the box of the rotation of the box already about logarithms and exponents and throats and all kinds of crazy. Well, here actually what I do better, and just as a regular spade on my end, if you had to log your own system, you would say I'm a bit of a better salty than I am a sharps. Let's just come on now. I'm a way better salty than I am a sharps, but that's not because it has anything, not a damn thing to do with roasting a bunch of marshmallows uh, or anything like that. Okay, it's just this hello world button right here. Okay, off the hop, we got some basic starts, and we'll build a whole program of your world engine. What is the logarithm here in terms of what actually we're trying to do? Because it really does. Where's hello world? Well, there's some other stuff too at the Dalport Daily, but realistically, you're still gonna start with. I just need a button. Is that the button? No, not the button. See, hopefully you're catching a little bit of it right now. But inside of here, the actual very first base of what this over here, okay, of this logarithm it can be that we, other than this is a zero compressed system, so I kind of did all five of them, or yeah, five of them, but I didn't, and neither did 3B, 1B in terms of with the kind of way this six is two times three for the zeros you need for what is it, a million or 10,000. I don't remember, but because Ben Eater's talking about this kind of crazy shit, that's why you don't get it, and it's super hard to get even this up to anywheres where it needs to be in terms of the crazy stuff that you have to do. Hello world of a video card, or the ROM corruption timing loops that go into this monster before you can get it to do anything. So we're gonna need to condense that monster a little bit. Oh, come on now, you moving? There's a few again, it would be sharps in this case to a salty over here. He's going to use, well, electricity. The NP problem is also this version of change in field to change in field by angular momentum and other kind of crazy stuff that comes into the diodes and capacitors, resistors. Anyways, let's get back to the logarithms here and checking. I'm going to have you do me a simple task, right? That's all I got to do. I got to have a control button. That button's got to do something basic. I'm just going to rip it down. What it should be is just a home screen without anything. Time. Go. You are being logged of how do you best describe your relationship with logarithms. That's right there. Do you know how to set out the foundation, A plus B? That moment to the end of the result. The moment before that result and when the test was being conducted is a high-low situation, right? And I need it to be in that orientation. Pensrow stuff. It's going to get a little messy in here. Hang with me. Hang with me, droids. But then we can change all kinds of parameters. Once I have the button, I'll have a changeover in the screen, right? I'll have this to do this. Oh, great. Now I have a new screen where I can play with things or it adjusted over depending on which way the math goes down the rabbit hole here for the app. I mean, you want to just hit that button right there. There's a whole hurt locker of vocabulary, inversions. What do you got? Well, buttons. You got canvas, layouts. I mean, that is just the simple subset of what's in there for M1 and M2. Back to your other sets here. I think it's this one. Yeah, here you go. If you wanted to get into it, it will serve a function. And this will do certain things, and it will change pages, but it's not exactly correct. And I'm not exactly good enough to really go through the samples here of controls dark changeover or taking the button into controls dark. Why? Because, well, in a sense, before it does some useless stuff that really doesn't do much for you. Okay, before it does anything for you, we can do a lot with this tool chest right here, right? And we're just gonna apply that's the workshop bench there. Where are we at? Yeah, here we go. There's the drawers in it. In terms of controls are X, Y, and Z. Really, controls, dialogue, and what's the other one? Lists. But they're very arbitrary. If I pose a list, or if I pose a set of controls, or if I change those sets of controls, X, Y, the dialogue of what the actions that this thing is actually doing, right here, with arbitrarily, mind you, without photoelectric effect of the way the teaching mechanism works, we can't really graph comparable systems off of each other to really determine what route would be best here, would we? Could we? There's no hello world controlled darks methodology of graphing the results to see the differential in what that is, but all of them are kind of doing a purpose or a task. It might capitalize it, right? It may do some hardline things at that level. The base 10 tricks that come up with COVID numbers are a great way that he 3B 1B this here to peg out a 30-day window to pull when a million case studies we're going to be at by arbitrarily being lucky enough to be in a ZW position or ZY position. Pens roll backwards. Looking at it logged, you could say, well, I'm close to the million, and arbitrarily it fit in real nice to 30 days. But it could have been in the same way that index that looked at it, and only by logging it, only by Tucker and Bill Nye, the science guy, talking about projections of climatology with and without, where we are with it, when it was first idealized as that photoelectric effect, and then determined today. Like, I would see that later, and I'd be like, wow, late duck or lame duck or something. But that's me. I might be allowed to do something like that, given the graphics. But that's your real relationship. How much of computer engineering do you really know? Could you take it and teach it all the way? I want you to be a little shook up about these questions after this logarithm equation. Just 30, 40 minutes, maybe in a whole hour on a class is some math, right? Maybe college level, maybe you break that down a few different ways, given the Penn's row of it all. And, we talk about, you could get, there's a lot of math that hard lines another parallel inside of here. It's like, what is it? Rational numbers, irrational numbers, and a few other ones that go to it in the way that this high and the low. It's irrational, rational. It's coulomb and Newton meters. It's angular into a rotation of this program being in line with the timing and the diode version of it, not knowing the current and having to do a test to test it that way, compared to an LED, which is still IH. Given it would be nice to still conduct that experiment to make sure it is at the proper currencies or values to determine what that result should do. The service clock ratings, once I have that, I can hardline that 9.8 meters per second stuff, and then they'll give you the clock service rate and crib death of these bad puppies right here, and we'll make us a mint. Alright, so anyways, that's some of our notes. We want to be looking at that kind of stuff. And again, don't be afraid to open these up. There might be a better logarithm speech to it. You think you can get under 3B, 1B? I didn't. I was like, we'll just do that. And then we'll switch it off into math. And then we could talk about, well, if I'm the last man standing, or this kind of still becomes the subset standard, you want to be able to say, well, this is what we got, Gilligan. We're on the island, and I sure as shit ain't the skipper. So if you're a computer engineer, let's do that. But it might that whole field of coulombs and charges to the stuff on the breadboard and everything like that, super important too. Just don't be buying real estate or stocks, something being light inside of there, not doing it. Not to say the logarithm doesn't work the same way. All right, catch you in the next one.